Tell us about joining the West Nova Scotia Regiment.
Well, I joined when I was 18, and we went to Bridgewater, and from Bridgewater we went to Kentville, and from Kentville we was there a while, then we went to Halifax, got aboard the ship, went across, took us 8 days, I think they said, to cross over to Scotland. We get landed in Scotland, put us aboard the train there, and took us down to Aldershot in England.
So you would have been one of the original guys
Yeah.
that joined the West Novas?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's great. You trained for so long in England. Is there anything that you remember that you hated about the training?
No, I enjoyed it all.
Yeah? Good. You would have been in fantastic shape by the end of
Oh,
your
yeah.
training, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I didn't have any trouble. I enjoyed it all.
Right. Well, then perhaps we can skip right ahead to the Sicily landing.
Yeah.
Tell me about your impressions of the landing in Sicily.
Well, we landed, but when we landed in Sicily, there was 2 sergeants in my platoon. So, the full sergeant, he went ahead as they moved ahead, and I had to stay. There was so many sergeants and corporals and stuff had to stay behind the holding unit there in case one of the sergeants got wounded. Then they'd call for us and they'd take us up to take his place. So I was only in the holding unit, I wouldn't say any more than a week. And the sergeant that was in my platoon, a shell hit close to him, so I heard, this story I heard. The shell hit close to him and he kind of went to pieces like something like that. And they had to take him out, and then they sat down, and then the Jeep took me up, and I joined the regiment up there.
Replacing a man that had just been injured like that, how did the men take to you?
Oh, see, I was in with the platoon I was with it from the time I joined the Army until I joined McGinn, when we started to fight.
So you had a lot of good friends
Oh, yeah.
in the platoon?
All good friends.
Who was your best friend?
Wait, don't
Oh,
answer yet.
don't.
Just adjusting the shot. Just want to zoom out, make sure I get those medals. I want those medals. Okay.
Tell me about your best friend in the West Novas.
Well, I had so many, I don't know which one I could tell you about, but I liked everybody. There was only one fella that didn't like the way he was. This happened in the Aldershot before we went to Sicily. And he was sergeant, and I don't think he liked anybody. I wouldn't say any names or anything. But they had a trench dug in Aldershot. They put pipes in, and they had a plank across it. We used to go out in the evening in Aldershot, Kentville, and he used to go out every night. And this night he went out, and it was dark, and somebody moved the plank. He fell in the trench, broke his leg. That's the only one I had any trouble with.
Right. Tell me about your first action in Sicily. Did you participate in an action in Sicily?
Oh, the first one I went was when I went up to this other side's place was Nova, that was the first big battle I was in.
So, tell me about your memories of Nova.
Oh, well, it wasn't too bad. Lieutenant Guy and I, when we started, some of them went through the city, and he took me and a couple more of us, and we went out around the city. There was a railroad track. We went out, walked around the railroad track, about the other side of the city, because when we fought there, it wasn't that much fight anyway. The Germans were retreating. And then after we get around the city, there was a big hedge. Oh, I'd say maybe a couple 100 feet. And there was a lot of Germans in back of that. When we came out in this open, that's when they opened fire on us, but they didn't get us. We got down behind the stone wall, and it didn't get in there, but then the Germans kept moving back. And it wasn't too bad.
Didn't they counterattack and encircle the town?
That,
in
and
that battle?
not right where we was, but some places they did. But right where we was, we took up position there, we held it until they hauled out.
Did they advance towards you at all? Did you actually have
Not
to?
where we went,
Oh, okay.
not right where we were.
Okay.
But they did, I think they did up a little farther. But we were down on the lower end, and there was none coming towards us.
So what happened after that?
Well, then after that, we just kept moving.
Did
Next.
you have any? I know you got the Germans out of Sicily pretty quick, but did you have any battles that really stick in your mind in the rest of Sicily?
Well, I got wounded, and the first time I got wounded, we were walking up this, it was a big open field, and with some trees, and we were walking up the side in single file. When we got up, there was a big wooded area across the field, and we had to cross that field to get in that wooded area. And the Germans, there were tanks in back of us, and the Germans were shelling them tanks. And then when we got to the stone wall, where we halted, we heard the last shell explode. And the lieutenant guy said, we better get across now before something else happened. And we was going to cross in a file like this, our platoon. And when we got out, we were halfway across the field, we heard a shell, and it hit behind us, which was a good thing. When it hit in front of us, would have probably killed most of it. But it hit behind us, and most of the shrapnel went the other way. But I got a piece of my left leg, and another fellow got a piece in his leg, and one fellow got some in his back. Me and the fellow that got hit in the legs, we got across into the wooded area. But the two stretch bearers with us, they had to pick up the other fellow that was hit in the back and carry him over in the woods. And after that, they picked us up. And then after that, we just stayed there until they come and got us and took us to the hospital.
Right. So, tell us when you rejoined the regiment. What happened then?
I rejoined the regiment when we got in Italy. And from then on, I never had no troubles in that. I never got wounded until the second time I got wounded. We were walking up this footpath. There was a bunch of tanks in the woods behind us. We came through the woods. We were walking up this footpath, and we saw this. It was they call them half tracks, I think they were. It was a river or a brook or something. We could see it. We were supposed to walk up across that because Germans were on the other side of it. And this half track come on. He fired 2 shells. They went overhead for the Cadet tanks. And the third one, we seen back down the hill, and we was under this. I was just under this tree, and the shell hit the top of the tree. Piece went in this side of my neck. One doctor said it went through it, and this big spot here. When I was bleeding so bad that my tunic was all in blood, I took my thumb, put it behind me like that, and hauled it, stretch bear come and knocked me down, took my helmet off. knocked me down the woods. He was coming before he found me. As soon as he found me, they had stuff to put in the wound stopping from bleeding. Right bled to death another 10 minutes.
Oh, jeez.
So
That's-
they fixed me up and they carried me out. And that time was, I think, 5, 6 of us all got wounded at the same time. The fellow in front of me, he got full of shrapnel, fellow behind me, and a couple more behind him. And they put us on a plane and took us down the island of Malta. That's where we spent it.
Right.
And we was down there about, I'd say a good month. We couldn't get it. It was now to come back to England and bring it back to Sicily to bring it back.
So in between, there must have been a number of battles that you had participated in.
No.
Oh,
Once
no?
I got wounded the second time, that was it.
But I mean, from the time
yeah,
that you
from-
got back to the regiment to when
Oh,
you were
oh, yeah.
finally wounded,
Yeah.
which battles did you participate
Oh
in?
my God, I can't name them all.
A lot of battles, eh?
Yeah.
Were I guess there's the list of battles here.
Yeah.
Were you at Ortona?
Yeah.
Can you tell me of your impressions of Ortona?
It was rough. That's all I can tell you. It was rough.
Were you in the attack in the gully?
Yeah.
Can you tell me about what happened at the gully?
Well, so much happens. You know, I can't remember half the stuff that did happen. So I'm just telling you what I know because I don't want to tell you something that's not right.
Right, of course. Well, perhaps I'll just ask: is there any anecdotes from any of the battles that just jump to your mind? Is there something that even now you just still think about of episodes from any particular battles?
Well, in one battle, it wasn't a battle, but we were dug in to hold this place. And we had our slit trenches dug. And we took this place, and we were all dug in, was going to stay there overnight. And so we got our slit trenches dug in. I got into mine, it was about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Lieutenant guy said, we'll be staying all night. So all of a sudden, whammo, shell hit in front of my slit trench. And I was in the trench, and a bunch of the ground flew over me. So after that was settled, I got out, cleaned my trench out again, got back in. Next thing you know, another one hit. 3 times the shell hit right in front of my slit trench and covered me pretty near over. So, third time I dug my way out, Lieutenant guy came up and he said, what's wrong? I said, you see that trench there? He said, yeah. I said, you crawl in it, because I said, I'm going back where the tanks are, and I went back where the tanks were and stay with them all night.
Oh, jeez. How do you take that?
He just laughed.
That's
He was some guy, Lieutenant guy. He was some man, that fella.
Tell me about him.
Oh, he was with us quite a while. He was a great lieutenant. And he was still with when I left, come home.
Oh, good. Good. So he made it through.
See, in Malta, we couldn't get back to Sicily. So it was about a month, or maybe a little more, before we got a ship coming back. And then when we got back there, I went to the holding unit, and we had to go to the office, sign in that we were back. And they told us in there, they said, how many times was you wounded? And I said, we were both wounded twice. And they said, fill out this paper, and you'll be able to go home in 6 months, for 6 months, but you'll have to go back if the war's not over. Well, we filled them out. We said, how long it would be? They said it might be a month. So Next day, they took us up to a regiment. And I got back in my same company, and they were out resting then. And Mr. Guy told me that we'd be going into action in 3 days' time. But he said, "You're not going." He said, "I'm going to leave you behind at the cookhouse for a week till you get better." So, next morning, about 8 o'clock, I seen the padre come. He came down. He said, "Are you Sergeant Rafuse?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "There's a slip up on the orderly room up there. You're going home tomorrow." So he said, "Don't tell anybody I told you." So, about an hour's time, the orderly runner come down. He said, "You're going home tomorrow, home tomorrow." He said, "Get your new suit of clothes, get everything packed, be up in battalion headquarters by 8 o'clock tomorrow morning." So the next morning, I got up 6 o'clock, went to the cookhouse, got my breakfast, took my stuff, went out, sat on the doorstep. And the colonel came along about 7 o'clock. He said, "Rafuse, what in the hell are you sitting here for this time of morning?" I said, "I'm going home." He said, "If I'd been you, I'd been up here last night." So they put us in the Jeep, and next morning took us down to Holden.
That's
I got
great.
home 2 days before Christmas in Halifax. 2 days before Christmas.
That's wonderful.
44.
That's you probably saved getting to come home. Probably saved your life, maybe, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But at the time, I didn't tell you what time we got captured, did I?
No, please. So that was
Well,
the attack of the Hitler line,
we-
and then
we-
tell me all about it.
We took this road, and the colonel, captain of our company said, "Ralph," he said, "you won't have to worry. All the Germans have moved out. There's none around." But the funny part of it was, him and I were standing out in the road talking, and all of a sudden up the road a ways was a curve in the road. Here come this German on a motorbike. And he said, "Ralph," he said, "that's a German." And I had my Tommy gun. He said, "Can you stop him?" I put my Tommy gun up, pulled the trigger, and I hit his front tire. He went on the road on the bank. When he hit the bank, there was a hedge there. Well, I went, and he went over the hedge. When he went over the hedge, I heard somebody holler. And there was one of my friends on the other side digging trenches. He landed right on his back. Scared him hard. And we stood out there for another 10 minutes talking. And then this Jeep come around the corner. That had an officer and his driver in it. He said, "Ralph, how in the hell are you going to stop that?" So I fired 2 shots at the front tires at the radiator. When it hit the radiator, and that ran in the woods in the same place the motorbike did. So we captured the officer, German officer, and he had a great big camera around his neck, about that long, about that wide. I said to the captain, I said, "I want that." So I took that, he took that film out of it, and he gave me the camera. Excuse me. And I kept it for a long while while somebody stole it from me.
That's wild.
So anyway, about 1:30 in the afternoon, Sergeant Hurlinus and I he was another sergeant in my platoon. We were digging the slit pins inside the road. And we were about the last of A company up that far. The rest was down the road this way. And we were digging, and all of a sudden we heard somebody say, "Hands up." And we never paid any attention to it. And all of a sudden, we heard him say it again. And he looked at me and he said to me, he said, them damn fools over in the other platoon playing cowboy and Indians, he said. I said, playing what? He said, cowboy and Indians. And all of a sudden, burst the machine gun fire over the top of our heads. And we turned around. He was that German officer. He had all the A Company. I think it was 32 of us, had all of them but us. And I think he had 6 Germans with him, 3 on each side of the platoon. We were the last 2. So we got up the road with our hands up. He started up the road. And George Swigger, I don't know if you know him or not, do you? Sergeant, he was sergeant. He was company sergeant major in B Company, and they were up ahead of us. And they noticed us coming up, like I said, the Robinson fellow was 6'6" tall. He was right in the center of the platoon. And they recognized him. So they set up guns, machine guns on both sides of the road. Then when we got up there, they hauled for us to fall down. We fell down the road, and then they opened up. They got all the Germans except the young fellow, the officer. You know, they tell me I never seen him because I rolled off the road in the ditch. And he said that he stood in the road until they killed him. He never moved, he just stood there firing his gun. That's what they told me. I don't know if it's true or not.
Because they got the Bren gunners that opened up to get the Germans, weren't they killed themselves?
No, they were hit pretty well.
Oh, okay.
There was only one fella got killed. He was behind, they had a lot of soldiers behind the big trees too. If he'd stayed behind the tree, he'd have been all right, but he looked out that way. And they got him.
Now, you were captured, but it was right after, that's the counterattack from when you broke the Hitler line. I've talked to Max Forsyth Smith and about his rendition of breaking the Hitler line. It sounded like an awful thing, that you had to sit under shell fire for a long time, all your tank support was blown up, and then you still took the line. Can you tell me your impressions?
Well, see,
of
trouble with it is that some companies run into it. See, it was A, B, and C company. Maybe our company was up here. We was on the right. Maybe our company didn't run into as much as some of the companies on the other side. Because see, when we were captured at that time, it was only A company got captured. I think it was 32 of us, I think. So the other companies were on the other side of us. That's the way I understood it to be. And sometimes they run into more heavy fire than what we did. Because I can't remember us. We were running quite a bit of heavy fire, but not as much as some of the outfits run into.
And did you have to? I'm told that the Hitler line had a lot of tank turrets and pillboxes, and did you have to take any of those out?
I can't remember taking any, no.
No?
No.
So the artillery barrage beforehand
Yeah.
had destroyed most of those?
I never got into any real tough fighting, like taking a pillbox or something like that. And some of them did, because I think we was on the right-hand side. We were probably mostly going around, probably the outside of it.
Okay. What was the bravest thing you think you ever saw in your time in the West Novas?
Hard to say.
Anything that jumps out in your mind as to when you saw it and went, wow, that was incredibly brave?
No, not that I can remember.
Okay. Were you at the Foglia River crossing?
No, I don't think.
Oh, okay, you weren't at that one. All right.
Then I was out I had malaria a couple of times. I was out a couple of times with that.
In the what? What was that again? I'm sorry.
Malaria.
Oh, you're out with malaria.
Yeah, I was out 2 or 3 times with that.
Were a lot of guys getting sick
Oh,
with
yes.
malaria?
A lot of them had that.
What was the time? Can you remember a time that you were most afraid that you thought you weren't going to make it through?
No, not me, not that I know of.
No? You always thought you'd make it through?
I always had it in my mind I was going to make it, so there was a lot of shelter on my head, but
Never thought they'd get you. Well, you were right.
the only time I was close, except the time the shell hit the two times I was wounded, that was close. But the only time I was real close, we were in a place we were going to stay for a week's rest. And we were all digging our slit trenches. And we were digging here, there was a bunch over there digging, and some of the, one platoon was over there digging, one was here, one was here. And I was digging my trench, I had it pretty well dug. And I heard a couple shots, and I looked. There was a few trees in front of me, not many, you could see through them. And I thought I'd seen, it was a big tree, and I thought I'd seen something in the tree. And all of a sudden I heard a couple shots, and I looked over where the other boys were. When I heard the 2 shots, I seen them jump in the trench. And I didn't know what the devil was going on. And then I thought, well, might be something put around firing at us or something. God, I made a jump from my sled trench, and all of a sudden I heard something go off my helmet. And it was a sniper, German sniper that I'd seen up the tree. That's it was. He was up in the tree. He fired at them from over there, and he missed them because they got the sled trench. And he must have fired at me as I was going down the sled trench. And I heard something ring when it hit my helmet. It didn't go through my helmet, just right as close as, except the 2 times that I had come to get killed.
Jesus, you got you got 9 lives.
Boy.
So that probably would have.
That was enough for me. But some of the fellows got him
Yeah.
before he was firing any more shots.
Yeah. Was he up in a tree or?
He was up in the tree. And then another thing happened. I had I call Lieutenant Reeves. And there was a big hill or a bank, and like we come up behind that. There was a path going up, there's a big opening out there. And he said to me, said, let's sneak up on the bank, he said, and see what's up there. So we crawled up on the bank, and we looked out, and out in this big open hole, was me over to the grove, I guess. Why? No trees. Big rock out there. We seen this soldier out there sitting up against the rock. He didn't have no helmet on, but he had a Canadian uniform on. And he said, maybe we better try to sneak out there and see if that guy's alive or not. So boy, when we start to crawl out, boy, then he must have been 2 or 3 snipers somewhere. Boy, you're talking about bullets going over our heads. So we crawled back in, and we never got hit. And we went back. And the next day, the whole company moved up. And we got out there, and it was a German. They had him in a Canadian uniform. See, that was bait for somebody to go out for the snipers for some of the route trying to get him.
But they'd taken a German body and put him in.
Put him in German, he was dead. But they put him in this Canadian uniform and set him out there against the rock. And they knew if we seen the uniform, that someone would try to go out and get him.
Wow, that's kind of a dirty trick.
Yeah. Because I was passing. When I'm coming one day without respirator, while I come in dressed in a Canadian uniform, went down one in the battalion headquarters. It was German, we didn't know it. Nobody knew it. He come out again walking. That's when they found out that he was a German. He was a German. I remember that because I seen him walking.
That's ballsy. What's your? Do you have a happy memory of your time with the West Novas that really you think of that?
Oh no, only when we were, before we went to fighting, it was all nice. You know, everything was perfect.
But there's no happy memories once the fighting started, eh?
Not too many.
No.
Happiest moment I had when they told me I was going home.
That's fair enough. That's a good one. What did you hate most about serving in the army?
Shaving. Every day you had to shave. Oh. Ask her, she'll tell you. She wants me to shave every morning.
That's funny. Did you have a favorite officer?
Mr. Guy, Lieutenant Guy. Yeah.
Tell me a little bit more about him. Just
Well,
memories of him.
Mm-hmm.
What are your memories of him?
Oh, well, he some of these guys, they think a little bit too much of themselves. But he did. He was a man that didn't matter what. You could go to him and that was it. And the same way out the war, wasn't it? He was the same way.
Good. What did you think about the Germans? Did you think they were professional? Did you hate them? Did you not think about it at all? What did you think? What were your thoughts on the Germans?
Well, I'll tell you. With the older ones were bad. The older fellows, because they had to beat their head. I think they had to beat their head, fight till they were dead or something. But we had captured quite a few young fellas, and the minute you captured them, they threw down their weapons. And then I know we captured 3 or 4 one time, and they were maybe in the 20s, or maybe a little younger, and a couple of them were married. And just the minute we captured them, they thought we were going to shoot them or something. They all, the first showed us their family and their wives and children. But I remember once they captured one fellow. Boy, he was stubborn. But I didn't have nothing to do with him, but a couple of the other fellows said they captured an older fellow. They had quite a job with him. And I know when we were captured that time, the young lieutenant was leading the fellas, and there was a German corporal in the back of us, and he was another one he stood and fought till he died. They had to kill him and the lieutenant. But the younger, a lot of these young people, they give up. Just a minute it got tough, they give up.
You would have been in a lot of different combats. Do you know? You carried a Tommy gun, so do you know if you ever hit an enemy? Do you know if you ever shot and fired and hit an enemy?
Well, I fired at a lot of them. I don't know if I hit them, because when you fire at them, they get down so quick you don't know whether you hit them or not. And then when you move in the opposite direction. Sometimes you get around them and you don't know if you hit them or not. I know I fired at a lot of them. A lot of them were running, and sometimes you don't know if you hit them or not. There's so much going on you can't tell.
Did you ever have to resist a tank attack?
No, not that I
You never attacked by tanks?
No.
But you attacked with tanks sometimes. So
Oh yeah.
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 Right. Is there any other battles? We've talked about the breaking of the Hitler line, Ortona, the Gully. Is there any other battles that really stand out in your mind as?
No, to my life, a few of them was tough, but most of them to my imagination was just ordinary. Some of them was a couple were bad.
In these battles, what would be the closest that you ever had one of your guys get hit to you?
I had just one of my best friends was on the left-hand side of me. He didn't get shot, but he stuffed on a mine. The Germans hoped up on him. It was a minefield, and the path going around the minefield, and he was going up the path, and Germans were on the other side of the minefield. They opened up on him, and he jumped in the trench, and he fell on. They had a mine in the trench, and he fell on, killed it.
What was his name?
Gibby Cooper from Lunenburg.
Right. Well, he'll be remembered. What do you think, and this is my last question, what do you think the worst thing you ever saw was over there?
Let me think. No, I can't remember anything real. Nothing, you know what I mean, would scare me half. That's something like that. But to me, and every day seems to be pretty much the same. Oh, you'll get a couple rough days, and then you get a couple days that weren't so bad.
Is there any final thing that you can think of? Like, what are your feelings about the West Nova Scotia Regiment?
They were good.
Yeah. You proud to be a West Nova?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had a couple didn't like it, but I shouldn't tell you what happened to them. But they might be still alive and come after me.
Fair enough. All right then. I guess unless there's anything else that you'd want to say, is there anything else that you feel needs to be recorded for history?
I wouldn't tell you anything if you're going to put it down.
Okay.
About these folks. So when you shut your machine and everything.
I am recording.
And it's an honor. I want to shake your hand on camera. It's a real pleasure to get to talk to you. And there we go. Thanks so much.